Hi, this is Richard Murray with another session of Parking Lot Theology. I want to talk to you today about reading, and we've been having the last two videotape discussions about what it is to read the Bible, how to read the Bible better, brighter, with more illumination, with more, with more passion, with more insight, with more intuition. And we've talked about subtext, the concept of subtext. But today I want to step back and just have a little bit of fun and share with you how I learned to read. When I was young, I was a comic book fan. I had a very hard time reading. I don't know that I had a reading disability, but I might have had, because it was just hard for me to look at words and string them together and understand what the heck was going on when I was young. But something I was able to do was to read comic books, and I was a comic book fanatic. I went to all the Dragon Con and the Comic Con conventions that would be around in this area of the country. And I love comic books. I mean, I just had stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. And I lived really to read comics growing up. But as I read those, I would gloss over the words, and I would read the words some, but I was looking at the pictures. I wanted to see the action. And, the mighty exploits that these heroes had, and these superheroes. And one thing that it did for me early on was that it gave me a sense of aspiration to be heroic. I wanted to copy these heroes that I saw. If I would see them do brave things in comic books, I'd try to do brave things, at school, or brave things on the football field, or just brave things in general. These virtues, by me visually internalizing these comic books, really affected me deeply, much more than going to church did when I was a kid. I'm just being honest. There was something visual and fresh and heroic and colorful about it all. And the reason I'm sharing that is to see that, and it may depend. I'm not saying everyone is like me in that respect, but I will say this: there is something to us learning visually. There is something to us learning by seeing a story or a fable or even a true event of true heroism, of great exploits, of great achievements and accomplishments and effort, and courage and bravery and virtue. Seeing those things in action, rather than explaining to you what virtue is by reading a 10-paragraph essay on it. Instead, we watch a story, a colorful story that excites us and catches us into it and models virtue for us, and how much stronger that is. And I really, and I ultimately went to law school, and I had a hard time learning to read in law school. I thought I knew how to read, but when I got to law school, I figured out, man, they are looking for something I'm not used to looking for, and that's taking the context and just the surface of the text, and then working with it and saying, no, it means this, no, it means that, but really strictly on a literal level for the most part. They would occasionally get into the intent of the law, and when you don't have the language on your side, you try to get into the intent. But I gotta say that I learned more virtue reading comic books than I ever did going to law school. And all that by way of saying this, that when we read scriptures, I think it's a mistake to limit it to just a big mistake, to just limit it to just the surface meaning, when there's so much undercurrent, there's so much subtext. And you remember what subtext was? Subtext is that notion that there's a symbolic meaning in this text, underneath the text, that you have to plumb for, you have to dive for, you have to penetrate it with your heart and turn it and cogitate on it, like Gregory of Nyssa said. Turn it around in your head until it produces a beneficial reading for you in the spirit, something to encourage your virtue, and your love and your hope. And just reading it on a flat level as a flat, closed text generally doesn't do that for you. So anyhow, all that by way of saying that maybe we need a little more comic book attitude when we're reading the scriptures. And that's the way I read the Old Testament. If I read the Old Testament and it's got a story of violence in it, of violence, but of wicked, men being killed or being conquered by men who are serving the Lord, I don't take that literally. I don't take that to justify me going and killing my enemies. But what I do take it for is inspiration that within my internal processes, that there are wicked villains, there are wicked thought processes in me, there are wicked strongholds, things I've taken for granted, things of cruelty, things of hardness of heart that are within me, and those are the enemies. Those are the Philistines. And if I can take the Bible stories and get the courage of Samson or the courage of David to come in on an inner level, on an interior level, and smite those things and stand up to those things and say no, find your Davidic impulse, find the impulses of David in you, find the impulses of Jesus, and of the other heroes of faith, and fight those impulses within and clean out the promised land. Man, I'm telling you this, there's not a literal promised land out there. From Jesus' point of view, we are the promised land, what's on the inside of us. So when we read the Bible that way, we're looking for subtext that encourages us on the inside to yield to the Holy Spirit's promptings to sanctify us on the inside, so that we can have a unified soul, so that we can have a soul at peace. Jesus said, in your patience, and that word patience means joyful endurance, you'll possess your soul. So anyhow, we'll continue next time, but I just wanted to bring the comic book aspect into this, and we might even talk a little bit more about that next time. Thanks.